In today's show, we discuss, should a basketball coach in the USA have been suspended for allowing his team to win heavily?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasula, and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Tayo Boya. Tayo, hello, my friend. Once again, I hope you are keeping safe and well.
What are you going to do? The lucky ones die first. Here we are.
Come on, don't be grumpy.
Another day. SSTD.
Come on, I'm going to resurrect. I've got to ask you. You've got to say hi to our audience. Come on.
No.
Okay, I'm not going to leave our audience to suffer. Hello, audience. Welcome back to another episode. And in today's show, we discuss really an interesting one, actually. There was a basketball coach in the US was suspended for winning a game really heavily. And Taya, you came up with this, so I'll ask you to kick things off, please.
Well, it was an amazing story. I was gobsmacked. It doesn't. My mind just struggled to understand what it was reading. It's apparently this coach led all girls basketball team to an 84-2 victory over another team, and he was suspended by the school authorities and saying that it wasn't sports. I was going to say I'm going to use sportsman, no sports girls, sportsmanship. It wasn't sportsmanlike. Kind of like, what are you talking about? Sportsmanlike. Well, anyway, we're going to talk about this, but I was just, I'm still struggling with it, to be honest. And I told you about it. And then I started struggling anew because you then were like, you think it's right and stuff. And again, I just like, it's like going through Alice in Wonderland, going through the looking glass and just thinking, what's going on?
Well, let me jump in here.
I need to correct myself.
Oh, go on.
The scores were 92-4.
92-4, yeah.
But it's still 88 points.
Indeed, it was huge, 88-point win. Now, okay, there's nothing wrong with winning, and you should be encouraged to do so. Absolutely. However, there are a number of factors that you need to take into consideration. I mean, it happens this is obviously a case in the US. These are young girls. They're not professional. They're playing for a league. Obviously, they want to do well, but there has to be a point where you hold back ever so slightly. Once you've destroyed the opposition and you're winning and you've won the game, because the key is you want to win the game, right? You don't want to humiliate to submission to a point of beating them down to their last breath in a competition. Yes, you want to win, but there's still sportsmanlike behavior that you respect the opposition enough not to destroy them completely or humiliate them even. I mean, this happens quite a lot in the Premier League, where the big teams play the cup competitions and they don't field their strongest team, because if they fielded their strongest team, they could beat some of these lesser oppositions by 10 to 15 or even 20-0 in a football game. Football, for American viewers, soccer games. And that's really demoralizing for the other team. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, it's sport. You've got to take the rough with the smooth, which in essence is true. But with this case, you've got to sort of look at, because he's done it before, this coach, and he was spoken to before. So it's not an isolated incident. Now, he wants to win for sure, but don't have to humiliate and batter the confidence out of the opposing team. Win for sure, yeah, make it a great victory, but Give them some dignity to leave the pitch, so their heads are held high. They lost the game, sure, but at least they're not what's the word? Bow-beaten? Is that the word? And felt insignificant and awful. That's all.
Look, listen, I got 4 things to respond to you, to say back to you. By asking me about the browbeating thing, you discombobulated me, and I forgot. I can't finish writing down the 4th point. So something to do with dignity, but I can't remember now. Anyway, number 1, you said these are young girls.
Yeah.
Would it have been okay with young boys?
It wouldn't have mattered with either sex.
So you shouldn't have said girls then.
But in this case, I'm putting this example. Yeah, but this example, it was girls.
No, we're not going to be sexist. We're just going to say youngsters.
Okay.
Yeah, because like that. And then 2, you said they should hold back. They should have held back and not necessarily gone for the 88-point win. I'd like to ask a question. This is part of a championship run, okay? It's a single game, but the overall things, inter-school is the championships, maybe in that area, maybe in that state, okay? What if they had lost the championships by 80 points, for instance?
Well,
you rack up points as you can rack up points. It's not the business of this coach to defend his opponent's team. That's not his job. His job is to get his team to win big. That reminds me about the point about, you said the dignity, uphold the dignity of the opposing team. If I were the coach, if I had been spoken to and then suspended, I would do everything in my power. And you, Tony, you know me. So you know I'm not just saying this. You know that if this happened to me in real life, what I'm about to say is what I would actually do. I would do everything in my power to get myself to get onto the other team as the coach, and then come back to this school and then beat them by 88 points, maybe even more.
Okay.
And then laugh very loud and very long, non-stop throughout the entire match. Because winners win and losers moan and whatever. A coach is in the business of winning. Now, you said something about soccer.
Yeah.
If I'm Manchester United, I don't know. I'm not really into soccer, so I'm some big Premier League team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to play, I think it's the FA Cup where they mix these people up.
They do, yeah, they do.
And there is no reason for me to put my $1 million players on the playing field and then maybe some over-anxious, overzealous clown on the other side damages him. That's the real reason why they won't field their main team. They don't have to. It's not out of some kind of, it's not out of altruism or anything. It's business. There's no way I'm going to risk my multi-million-pound man on a nothing team. Why would I? That's the real reason. So let's not pretend that it's altruism. It's got nothing to do with altruism.
No, I'm not saying it's altruism.
Oh, yeah, you did say actually.
No, hold back because you're right.
No, I'm not right. You can't say I'm right and then contradict me.
It depends on the round.
I'm going to stop that now. There's no more saying, Tayo, you're right, and then you contradict me. That has come to an end.
Why? Because you're right in some circumstances.
No, don't say I'm right then. Just attack. Just go. Okay. Don't say I'm right.
But you're right.
No. Don't say I'm right. No, right. No, Tayo's not right at all. No. If I'm right, that's the end of it. If I am not right.
I said in some circumstances.
No. I'm not going to accept that. There's no more. You're right, but we're not going to do that anymore. Those days have ended. Okay. That history.
All right, you're wrong then.
Excellent. Yes. You're wrong. Good.
You're wrong.
Excellent.
Because if Premiership teams are playing a lower league team and the rounds is close to the final, they will field your expensive player because they want to win the game and want to be absolutely sure. But then what they do is part way through the game, once they're winning, they take the expensive player off. So they reduce the risk, as you say, that an over-eager lower team player might damage their expensive product, which is their player. But they will play them especially if it's close to the final, the later rounds. So they do. They only don't play them in the preliminary games, the early rounds, because they're still quite a way away from the final. So they go, okay, we'll put our B team out. We might put one or two of our A team players in because we believe that that team is still good enough to beat the lesser team from the lower division to still win. So they're playing the game in first gear because they still have the quality to win the match without having to their first team players being in there. And even so, and even when that happens, they still don't destroy the opposition because even the B team players are still head and shoulders above a lot of those players from the lower leagues. They really are. But in the game, if they're winning 6-7-0, they hold back. They don't keep going to 10, 12, 15-0. No, it's like a bit of mercy. Okay, we've won the game. We've done it. And we're through. Now, I will caveat what you said about the scoreline. You are absolutely spot on. If the scoreline had a bearing on where they finished with the league in the league, then that is justifiable to win at whatever scoreline. But that's normally towards the end of the season when you get close to that. And people will know and see the league and go, oh, blimey, Team A have got to play Team D. And my goodness me, if they can score by this margin, that then improves their chances. So even the opposition team will understand this because they do all this research in the background before the game's even played. So if they did get hammered heavily, they accept it in that scenario because the team was desperate to win by a certain margin. It's happened in World Cup games where teams have had to win by a certain goal score and they've gone out for it and they've gone for it. And the opposing team has been, uh-oh, we're going to be under fire here. But they're prepared because they knew in advance that there's a likely chance of them being spanked today. But they accepted, they took it on the chin because they knew that that could happen. Now, it doesn't happen in every game, but it happens in some scenarios. So you're right.
No, I'm not, if I'm right, I'm right.
No, you're right in that one example. There you go.
No, I'm
not
still
right
happy.
overall.
I'm okay. That's good. I'm not right overall. I am right overall, and I'll tell you, because the examples you gave in soccer about the teams getting more interested in the later rounds is because they're facing better competition at that stage. The so-called lesser team has obviously beaten other teams to get into the later rounds, and you can't then faff around and pretend that they are low-quality teams. They have already proven that in this particular year, they're not a low-quality team. And that's why they're in the later rounds. And that is why a stronger team is fielded. So that's what's, again, nothing to do with altruism. And as for pulling people off and saying we've already hammered these people 12-0, well, that kind of thinking is very anti-competitive, and it's the mindset of people I'd call a bunch of losers, because what you then do is you start going for the record. You say, okay, what's the most a team has been hammered? All right, the most a team has been hammered is 18-0. All right, now we're going for the 19-0, so that we've got the record. And then you can try things. You can try combinations that you normally wouldn't. You wonder, can we actually use this as a training exercise? And we see how far we can go, because these people obviously would like to score at least one goal, do something to alleviate the horror for them of the situation. So hopefully you've got a determined opposition. And if they're completely demoralized, well, then instead of going for 19-0, you try to go for 38-0. You try to demoralize them even more. You use it against them. And you think, why didn't their coach train them to have that kind of moral fiber to say, no, we're going to make a stance here. We're going to put one in the net, which is what the other team should be trying to do. So you know what? We're getting hammered here. We are hammered. We are going to score one to take home one goal with us. Like these girls who scored 4, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was 4 points, wasn't it?
4 points. That's that. Maybe at some point it was something 0.
Yeah,
and it
was 88-0.
And they got their 4 points. That's what they need to concentrate on, and that's what they have to go home with. And in everything, in both sides, the competitive spirit comes out, and both sets are competitive. One obviously, less effectively so than the other, but that spirit of competition, that spirit of never say die, never give up, no matter what. That is the spirit that makes nations dominate other nations. That is the spirit that built the British Empire. It builds any empire. And either you're going to be dominated or you're going to dominate, because in the real world, that's the way humans operate.
Indeed.
And I keep saying so, that we are supposed to be training the next generation to keep our grandchildren out of serfdom, out of neo-slavery, out of being dominated by others. We don't want our grandchildren to live in a country where another nation like America can show up and bomb us to oblivion, bomb our armies to smithereens, and tell us how to rule our lives, like they have done to Libya, to Iraq, and they wanted to do to Syria until my main man, President Putin, put a stop to that nonsense by sending in Russians, his compatriots, who then put an end to yet another adventure by the Americans, like they tried to do in Afghanistan, apart from the fact that the Afghans are made of a different kind of metal, and they've seen off everybody who's ever showed up there.
What's this got to do? I know you've digressed.
I'm saying it's because these the people who say never say die, the people who build themselves into a country that cannot be dominated. I mean, North Korea isn't
to do with this game of basketball.
It's competitiveness. It's the idea that you keep going, that even if you're being hammered, you see the mindset behind the people who suspended this coach. The mindset behind them is, yes, the other people are a bunch of numpties, and we should look after them. And my mindset is, the other people fought for their 4 points, and they didn't go home. They did not leave the battlefield. For me, the basketball court, utterly defeated, because they fought to the last minute, and they got their 4 points.
Okay.
So they fought back. But if you had just let them, if you had said, you know what, we're hammering these people, let's just sit back, and then they score 4 points. That's nothing. You've handed them those 4 points. They didn't earn it. So it's rubbish. That is why when I'm very sorry, I'm going to say this. When I see a black woman being the commissioner of police in New York City, I don't think to myself, oh, hasn't she done well? I think to myself, another diversity hire. Now that is terrible, because who knows whether the woman is good?
Well, so she might have been the best that way then.
Because they're all diversity hires. That's why. Because the thing in America now, even here in the UK, is we need representation. We need diversity. So they start handing out positions to people. But those people haven't earned it. They didn't win it. It was given to them. So when I see them, me being black myself, I don't feel, oh, this is a black person who's done well. I feel this is a blooming diversity hire.
Hold on.
Compare and contrast that.
You can't say that. You don't have enough information.
Yes, it's my opinion. So?
But you've made an opinion based on lack of information. Because
I made an opinion based on the fact that in this society now, we talk about diversity. We talk about diversity, and we hand out diversity hires. Just like the same thing on that basketball pitch, where you're saying they should have played not to their best to allow the other team to win. What? Not to win, to compete better. That is terrible.
No, that is not what we're saying here. We're not saying that. We're not saying they should not have competed to their best. Of course not.
Well, absolutely, they did compete to their best, and they scored 88 points more. What did you want them to do?
Okay. Get to a point where you've won the game.
And then what?
And then you can take your foot off the gas.
So when you take your foot off the gas, what are you doing? What are you telling the other team? That I've taken my foot off the gas. Now, go for it. That's what you're saying.
No, you're saying to them, do you know what? See if you can score against us. We won't score anymore, but you can try and score.
We won't score anymore. What the hell does that mean? So I'm in front of the game. Hold on, I'm in front of the basket, and I can take a shot, and I don't. So the other team see me do that. They see it. I can take the shot. Or I can do the, I'm not supposed those little girls can dunk, but I suppose, let's suppose one of them could dunk. So, and then she doesn't dunk. So what does that tell the other team? They're taking their foot off the pedal. They don't even respect us enough to even play their best. I would actually march if I was the opposing team coach, that is the point when I'd march my team off the court, because that is total disrespect. And that's what you don't seem to understand.
Disrespect? No, it's not.
Of course it is. Okay. I'm not missing anything. You're treating me like a numpty because you're beating me. You're not giving me my respect of asking me to take it like a man. You are beating me, and I accept that. I came onto the pitch and I came onto the court, I wasn't ready. The next time I come onto the court, I will be ready. Okay. But you go ahead and you keep doing what you're trying to do, and I'll keep doing what I'm trying to do. And may the best team win. But you're telling me, no, we're going to sit back. We're going to be all nice and easy. Let me stop you there a moment. Let me ask you a question. Let's diversify the subject. I mean, still keep it on the same line about the winning mentality and blah, blah, blah until the end. Okay. If we had to change the stakes in terms of battle on a battlefield, okay? Mm-hmm. Do you therefore believe that if there was a battle, you should take prisoners, or you should maim and destroy every single person? Why are you asking me when you know perfectly well what my answer is going to be? I have never believed.
You to verbalize it. I have
never believed in the Geneva.
Our listeners would know that the empathy that you share.
You know very well that I don't believe in the Geneva Convention, because I don't believe that war is a game. If chivalry, my black left ass, okay? I don't accept nonsense like that. Look, if I meet you on the battlefield, you're dead, or I'm dead. We shouldn't go to war. Okay. That's the whole point. I don't believe in war.
Are not made by the people on the battlefield. They're made by
we should have gone off and killed our leaders who wanted war, or we should have prodded them like we in the days of yore to be standing at the head of the army, to be in the first wave onto the shores. Because anybody who wants war, it's like that woman in Germany, the new foreign minister, and ours. We've got isn't our foreign secretary now, Liz Truss, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yes, correct.
It's like the two of them. The two of them are there. Hey, we're going to get to war. And they're beating the battle drums. I'm looking at these women and I'm thinking, sorry, are you going to be in the first wave? What the hell? Have you got children in the military? Either of them. Have you got a child? What blood, what skin are you putting up when you're talking about you want to go to war with Russia? Idiots. Well, okay. Anyway, to go back to what I was saying. Yeah. What I believe that war is not a game, that when you meet someone on the battlefield, you don't take prisoners. You might take them to try and sort of, torture information out of them or something like that, if it's important. But I don't believe in taking prisoners or prisoners of war, because fighting a war should be such a frightening thing, a frightening proposition, that we generally don't do it. If we do it, it's because NATO has rolled up to our borders and we have nowhere else to go.
You can't.
And then we start a war
of Russia and Ukraine and NATO in this conversation. Let's just change it and keep it away from that for now.
Well, there's many things we can't talk about nowadays, apparently. Tayo is, you see, you can cut it out of the recording. That's perfectly okay.
Okay.
But as I've said, I will talk about it, because that's how we fight for our rights to talk about what the hell we want to talk about. We could die if we don't talk about this, and our leaders are stupid enough to go to war against Russia. So actually, we've got skin in this game. Very, very important skin. You've got kids. I've got a kid. Right? We don't want to see them go up in a pile of nuclear ash. This is the time for us to talk. This isn't the time for us to play politics and let people tell us what we can say and what we can't say.
No, I'm
This
not
is this is
saying that. I'm not saying that at all.
this is the
You can
critical
say
time.
that, absolutely. But in this particular topic, because all we're discussing here is whether the team that were winning, I mean, personally speaking, I do not believe the coach should have been suspended. That's a bit too heavy-handed. In fact, it was silly. She could just talk to him, take him to one
But you
side
said
and
they've
say,
spoken
look,
to him
Tommy.
already. That's what you said.
Well, they did, but they can speak to him again. I mean, it's a one-game suspension, by the way. It's not permanent.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
It's heavy-handed suspension.
Now you're forcing me to take the position of the school because now it becomes a disciplinary matter. It's no longer a sports matter. It is now a disciplinary matter. You've been told before, don't do that, and then you went ahead and you did it. Now, I'm for the school. I think they should suspend the guy or maybe even sack him. He should really have resigned and walked. The first time he was told that, he should have told the school to get knotted. That's what he should have done. Say, look, I'm sorry. When I take my girls onto the court, I'm telling them to do the best they can all the time. It's actually my personal motto, which I took from, I'm sorry to say, Bill and Ted's Excellence Adventure. I don't know if you remember that all those years back.
Uh-huh.
But it had a very powerful impact on me. You know, be excellent. Yes, be excellent. Just do the very best you can all the time.
But not that you're damaging other people in the process.
It's nothing to do with me. I am being excellent. How you react to it is your problem, not mine. I am being excellent. I get
that means you've lost the value of excellence, because
I have not, because my excellence as a basketballer is to score points. That's it. That's my excellence as a basketballer. And I'm going to try to score as many points as I can.
Okay.
And your excellence is to stop me. And if you can't stop me, I will score the maximum number of points available to me within the period that we're on the court.
Okay. What are the boundaries then? Because there are boundaries between athletic prowess, which is your ability to score points, and sportsmanship. Are you saying sportsmanship is not a thing?
I'm saying that sportsmanship is a thing, and the thing is for me to be as excellent as to be excellent. That's the sportsmanship, that I give you that respect, that I'm going to do my best. It's not, I'm like, if I'm boxing against you and then I've cut you in the eye, what did I cut it? Is it cut above the eye?
Cut above the eye, yeah.
And then you're bleeding. You see, I expect your corner to throw the towel in. But if they don't, I'm going to keep targeting that cut above your eye to open it up, to make it gush more, and being the most effective and the most excellent way of beating you.
Yep.
All right, it's up to you then.
All right, but once
to be
you're
excellent yourself.
Do you see what I'm saying? You beat someone enough. That's what sportsmanship is.
There's not enough. The guy is still standing.
Yeah.
He's still standing.
You've beaten him.
No, I haven't beaten him because he's still standing.
Okay. But he can still be beaten by still being standing. Do you see what I'm saying?
No.
Sportsmanship allows you to win, but not by destroying the other person. The purpose of the competition...
No. You didn't make your point. Sorry. The guy is still standing.
Right.
So I still keep fighting. I do the maximum. I deliver the maximum damage to him. I mean, he could have been knocked out, and maybe he's out unconscious on his feet.
Yeah.
And then the next blow is not necessary because I'm waiting for him to tip over.
Okay.
And he hasn't tipped over. Well, he's going to need a tap or something to turn him over so that the ref can start counting.
Okay.
So I deliver a punch. He doesn't go down. It's a stronger punch. He doesn't go down. Then I give it all I've got. And I'm sorry if he dies, but he didn't go down. Yeah, that's it. Because it's my job is to go there. How did Mike Tyson put it? He used a swear word. So if you don't like swear words, audience, you get ready for the next 15 seconds. Mike Tyson put it this way. I think he said, or was it a comedian who said it for him? I knock motherfuckers out. That's my job description.
Yeah, knocking them out is one thing, but then while he's knocked out, you don't then go on top of him and pound him some more until he's a pulp.
No, of course not. But first of all, the rules say you shouldn't, so that's the first thing. And the rules there's no rule in basketball that says you can't score 88 points or whatever.
There is. It's a mercy rule.
Did you just make that up on the spot?
No.
A mercy rule in basketball.
Yeah. There's a
All right.
mercy rule in a lot of sport, actually.
Hold on. This is the first I've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, what have we got? We got the internet. So I'm going to go to the internet right now, and I'm going to type in mercy rule.
Mercy rule in sport.
No, I'm not going to do sport. I'm going to do basketball.
Okay.
So we're talking about basketball. I know I've never heard of it. I used to have. I was having basketball. Now, what is competition or compassion? Is a mercy rule good for high school something? So there is definitely something called a mercy rule, which is the first I've heard of it, by the way.
Okay.
So that's interesting. It is in basketball for boys and girls will take effect this season. This was go away. 2020. Oh, don't have to pay for this. 2021, October 2021, this was.
Okay, so it's recent.
It's recent. It says the new rule states that a running clock will replace a regular timing procedure if a team has a lead of 35 or more points.
That's a bit. No, I didn't like that. I don't think there should be a points, a decision on the points. No. That's. I didn't realize it was that anal. Sorry, my language. I understood the mercy rule was to stop situations like this. Now, I don't know. I don't believe. Listen to this. I don't believe it actually applies to professional sport. It's an unwritten rule in professional sport.
I like the way you don't. I like the way you don't.
I didn't realize it was that strict. I thought it was a rule to sort of left to the team's discretion to say, look, you've beaten this team. They're not really going to score more. You've won the game. So have a bit of mercy. Don't humiliate them. They don't want to play anymore. And it's normally applied to amateur sports. And I'm quite surprised it's that recent. I'd heard of it before. Okay, that's interesting. And a similar rule does apply to sport in general, where the teams do have this mercy ruling in place. It's an unwritten rule, mind you, to ensure that you're not absolutely destroying the other team. It's strange. You can batter a team into submission so they lose and you've won, 7, 8, 9, 10-0 in soccer in particular. But when you get beyond that, it gets stupid. So they hold back, and it's a bit of mercy. You're saying, okay, these guys have lost. Let's not humiliate them completely. And it's humiliation. There's no need to.
It's humiliation because of the way you're looking at it. It's not a humiliation if you keep fighting all the way down. You in fact, what was it now? Was it not the bobsleigh team, the West Indian bobsleigh team?
Yes,
there was a film made about it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they did their best, but they came a cropper, I believe, on their final run.
Okay.
And they didn't just skulk off the. I don't know what is this called there must be a name for that track they go down.
Bobsleigh track. It's
yeah. There's not a proper name for it. I think that's a proper name for it. Anyway, they didn't just skulk off it and think, oh, we crashed. They picked up the bobsleigh and walked the rest of the distance.
Okay.
And received a standing ovation.
Yeah.
That to me is metal. You see, so when there were 88-0, and then somebody was still fighting, I would have been on my feet cheering that person on. And at that point, it's not the people who scored 88 points ahead of them that are the heroes or heroines. It's the one person on the court still fighting. That's what you guys don't understand. That is what this stupid mercy rule doesn't get.
No,
that sportsmanship is fighting. That's what it's fighting fairly, that and never giving up. That's the spirit of the winner, of the sportsman. You can be defeated and still come out being the one who had the moral, the moral win, if you like.
Yeah. But
you're taking it away from them.
I'm not disputing that. Absolutely not. Because that's what every sportsman should have. They should have a can-do approach.
But
I'm
how
not
can they have a
saying
can-do
that.
approach if you're saying that the other team should take its foot off the pedal? If you
Only
take
not
your
to
foot off the
humiliate the
pedal,
opposition. You're playing a sport. It's
then once you've
competitive.
taken your foot off the pedal, I am no longer playing I'm no longer playing you at your best. And now, if I score something, it's meaningless. I'm trying to get it through you
To whom is it meaningless?
to people like Tayo. I wouldn't stand up. If the other team had taken its foot off the pedal, and then the losing team had scored their points, I wouldn't be on my feet. What for? Why? I can see that the other team has taken its foot off the pedal.
So what?
So it's meaningless now. They might as well just go and sit down and leave an empty basket there and say, how many can you score in the next 5 minutes? Go on.
Yeah, but they still lost the game.
You said yeah. No, you just said yeah.
Yeah,
so at that point, who cares? At that point, whatever those girls do, it doesn't matter. You've taken away the possibility of them being heroes to themselves, of saying we were never beaten. We were beaten. We were hammered. We were destroyed, but we never gave up.
That's a different mentality. Never give up against adversity. Yeah, that's totally different. And I applaud that because I'm a motivational speaker. I teach people never to give up.
Your motivation is of no use to anybody if you've told the people if you told the opponents to vacate the battlefield.
No, it's called empathy. I want to win a game.
It's not called empathy.
Yes,
it's called weakness.
No, it's not.
It is weakness. Right. You have taken away the opportunity of the other people to be strong. You've taken it away from them because you've just handed it over to them. It's the diversity high I was talking about. We don't know whether these people deserve these positions or not because you've handed it to them. Okay. So how do we know whether they deserved it?
Okay. A poor man in a street is dying of food. He's dying
of food?
He's dying of lack of food.
Sorry. Okay, that's better. Okay. Why am I telling you sorry? You know, said dying of food.
Right. He's dying through lack of food. Do you know?
Why did you just say hunger? Why did you say lack of food?
Okay, he's dying through lack of food.
No, why didn't you say he's dying of hunger?
Yes, that's true. I could have said that.
Thank you.
I mean, the heat of the moment, right? He's on his last legs. Do you not have any empathy in your body and you want to give him something? Or are you saying, nah, he should have the strength to earn and get his own food?
Where did that come from? What competition am I playing with the guy? What's it got to do with sports or basketball or anything?
But I'm trying to say, even in a sports match, if you know you're winning 7-0 in a sports, I keep going back to soccer because I used to play soccer at quite a high level. I actually got paid when I was younger in my fitter days, not now, of course. If you're beating a team, you're not beating them to the pulp and humiliating because you want to shake hands with them. They're still competitors. You respect them enough to not humiliate them on the field because it can be demoralizing. I've been on the receiving end of a big scoreline, and a big scoreline isn't being completely smashed, but it's still a big scoreline, and that's demoralizing in itself. But if it was double, triple that score, goodness me, it would have been so difficult to pick the other team members up off the floor because that's where they'd be. And it takes strength of character to ride those things and move forward and not be affected. But it does affect you because you are giving your best and then you discover that your best is just not good enough. And that's hard in those scenarios. And you have to pick up the people who are on the floor and realize, look, you can try again. You can improve even just 5%. But at that moment in time, you're reflecting on the scoreline of being battered. And if the scoreline is even worse, you are even harder to resurrect from the floor, to tell people, look, it's just a bad day at the office. That takes a lot of effort. So to reduce the amount of work to raise someone up again, the opposing team have won. They've got their points. They don't get more points for scoring more goals. It tends to not happen that way. You just win in the game. Because if it was more points for more goals, then yeah, you're right. This rule goes out the window. People will be scoring 30, 40-0 in soccer and 150-0 in basketball. But what does that leave us? The point of the game is to get points for winning. So if you win by 1 point, The fans, number one, would enjoy it more because even the fans don't like a one-sided game. They don't. They like to see the thrust and the battle on both sides, that they're close enough to win it. Now, obviously, they want their team to win. And even if their team wins by 1 point or 1 goal, that's enough for the fans. They've come away thinking, what a great game, because it's sport and fun after all. What a great game. I'm glad I watched that. It was close. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And our team won. They don't need to win by 50 points as long as they've won.
Well, what I'll say, just to remain polite and cultured in this conversation, I won't tell you what I think about your needing to be mollycoddled on the football pitch because you have been hammered. I will put that to one side and I'll just speak in general terms. Again, you think that empathy is a question of taking your foot off the pedal, disrespecting your opponents, and assuming, in certain cases, apparently correctly, that your opponents are not man enough to take a good hiding. My empathy is to be with my opponents and to assume that they are man enough to take a good hiding. Not just take a good hiding, but actually they're man enough to keep fighting for something, to find something in the situation that they can latch onto and say, I just want to do this. I just want to achieve this. This is my goal now. I'm not trying to win anymore. I'm not trying to score a point. I'm not trying to do, just find one more extra push from somewhere. And I respect you. And I will keep offering you the same opposition that I did at the beginning of the match. So that when you score that point, you know that I didn't let you. You can look yourself in the mirror and go, Tayo tried his best. He did as excellently as he could to stop you from scoring that point, but he couldn't. And you won that point legitimately, and it's your point. It's not his. It's not his coach's. It's not some empathy thing. And you can be proud of that because it's you, because you did it.
Absolutely.
But your way, you can't be proud because you know I let you do it.
No, absolutely not.
What do you mean not? I let you do it. So what are you proud about?
If I don't know that you've let me do it.
How would you not know? You can see that I've taken my foot off the pedal.
Absolutely not. I can't.
So what, am I not supposed to become not just a basketballer, but I'm not supposed to become an actor as well?
Yeah,
so that I can pretend.
Some people will not run quite as fast.
Well, you see, I didn't know that we were now doing acting. I didn't know we were now doing acting as well as basketballing. No. I thought I was only required to be a basketballer. Hey, why didn't you tell me I should be an actor too?
It's human nature, unfortunately.
It's not human nature. I'm supposedly human too. I think you can check my genes.
Let me ask you a question, right? Let me ask you a couple of questions. Okay, first off, do you believe you're a strong character with a winning mentality?
I don't know.
Well, clearly you've got a strong character because you're resolute. You've got a winning mentality. You have a never say die.
What is a winning mentality, though?
It is a winning mentality.
No, what is it? What's
winning mentality is what you've just described. I would fight to the end, doesn't matter what, if I'm losing, I'm still going to give my 100% best. Do you know what? You are the epitome. That attitude is what coaches are looking for in their players. Totally. They would love a team of 6 basketball players or 5 on the pitch at any one time to have that mentality. Football managers would love to have 11 players on the field with that mentality. Unfortunately, they're not blessed with 11 tires on a football pitch, soccer pitch. They're not. They're blessed with players with ability, but some do not have that strength of character like you've just explained today. Because not everybody is like Tayo. Yay! No, I didn't mean that. No, you have got a strength of character. You're resolute in your beliefs. You're very, very direct, and you know what you stand for, which is great. Because in success terms, it's a great winning quality. And football managers and coaches would love their team filled with players of that caliber. Unfortunately, the world doesn't work that way. There's only a few players in sport that have got that level of mentality. Now, when they do, they reach the pinnacle of their sport. Okay. But we are talking amateurs here, because this what we're talking about in terms of winning mentality, blah, 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 it's in professional sport. Of course it is, because you're paid as a job, as a profession, to be your best. And if you don't, guess what? You're dropped. So you're going to be your best. You're going to try 100% whenever you're on the field. And even that's debatable with some players, but that's a separate story. But your strength of character, what age would you say you got this strong in your character, this resolute? At what age, roughly?
10-ish, I suppose.
10 years old. Wow, that's a brilliant quality at a young age. Most sports people do not have that mental strength and fortitude until in their early 20s. Some may be younger, but normally it's 20 and beyond, 21 and beyond. They're starting to get that winning fortitude and mentality, because they're starting to understand the hard knocks in life, picking themselves up and dusting themselves down. The early days, they're not. And some who have been browbeaten, I can't even say that word, browbeaten at an early age, have been so disillusioned, the fact that their abilities are not strong enough, that they've walked away from sport, walked away from trying because of the chance of failing. Because that failure that they experienced in their early days had such an impact on them that they've never recovered from it. Now, when you realize that people get their strength in their 20s, by and large, there are exceptions to that rule, which in your case, you're one, then you have to tread carefully when you're dealing with young people. You don't want to destroy them. And these are young kids, as we spoke about at the beginning of the show. They're young kids. So if they get destroyed in a game, it's not a good way for them to deal with it. Yes, they have to learn life lessons. They have to learn the struggles in life. Of course they do. But by manufacturing it on a sports field, what are you doing? Are you actually helping them become better? No, you can teach them other ways. They don't need to be ridiculed and destroyed on a pitch alongside the other challenges that they have in life growing up as it is. So yes, lose a game. Of course, you need to lose to understand the knocks, but not be completely humiliated on a sports field. It's unnecessary at that age. So whilst I disagree with the fact that this coach didn't hold back when he realized that they'd won the game early doors, I don't agree with his suspension. I think that's a little bit harsh, but I still believe that the mercy rule should apply, but should be left at the discretion of the teams, not imposed with a strict scoreline.
I disagree with everything you just said.
Oh, I knew you would.
No, because I do. It's obviously a fundamental difference of opinion as to how you show respect to the losing team. I think you show respect to the losing team by never taking your foot off the pedal, no matter where that leads. That's how I think you show respect to them. That's how I think you develop your sport. That's how I think you develop the characters who are going to survive such an encounter. Because, as you said, some people may not have what it takes to survive that encounter as sports people, which I think is good. I think that's fair enough. Let's just separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yes,
if you can't take a good if you can't take a good hiding, then leave the stage. But if you can take a good hiding, if you understand what Tayo is saying, then you will also understand why some people say that the British Empire was won on the playing fields of Eton. Because you had to learn on the playing fields of Eton before all this wishy-washy, nonsensical modern-day liberalism and effeteness and weakness. You had to learn how to take the good with the rough, and then you'd graduate from school, and someone would put you on a ship and send you out to India or to Africa, and they say, go there and rule in the name of Her Majesty the Queen. And you show up there, 22-year-old, with no idea of what to do, how to do it, and somehow have to corral the natives and get things sorted out. Sometimes on your own. There are these people called district agents in India who were sent into these remote areas with no European near him for hundreds of miles. And they produced the goods because they weren't running off crying, bursting to tears because somebody had hammered them in basketball or football or whatever it is. Every generation is just more disgustingly weak than one previously, it seems to me. And at some point in time, it's going to have to end. We are headed towards a horrible collapse due to all this effeteness and weak, limp-wristedness, these attitudes where we even disrespect. It's the same argument people are saying the left infantilizes Black people. It's the same thing. So, they're Black, so let's not demand of them the same kind of responsibility that we do white people. What the hell does that mean? Why? It's the same mentality. I don't know why you don't see that. It's that same thing of nannying people who didn't even ask you to nanny them. That's the funny thing. They never called a timeout and said, you're beating the heck out of us. Would you? I bet if they did, the other team would have said, yeah, okay, so we'll take our foot off. If he had sued for mercy, I think is the expression. If they had sued for mercy, if you sue Tayo for mercy, I will, of course, show them mercy. No problem whatsoever. But if you don't sue for mercy, I assume you want to go down fighting, and I'm going to give you that every opportunity to do that. And that's where you are saying, no. I mean, why are you saying that the arbitrary 35-point line, the demarcation point? Why are you against it in that case?
Because it should be up to the team to decide when they've won enough. It shouldn't need to be a set figure. I think that's a bit silly. That's not.
What if 90 points is where the team feels they've won enough?
Well, possibly.
Also, if that means that 88 points, then it's not an issue, and you were quite happy with it.
I'm not sure that figure is representative. I think it's a little bit too high. If they'd won 60-4, then that's still classed as high. But it's almost, okay, that was a bit of a humiliation. But really? Once you got to 60 points ahead, you realise that the opposition is not in this, then just, realise that.
I would have thought 20 points ahead, you'd have realised they're not really in it.
In basketball,
so I don't know
not necessarily so. Basketball has fluctuations. You score more points. In football, when you're 5-6 ahead, you stop or let up a little. Unless, like I said, I caveat it if the scoreline, for whatever reason, the competition that you happen to be in meant that the more goals or more points you scored had a bearing on the final table, final result. Then that's different. But everyone knows this in advance. But if it doesn't, you sort of hold back. You've won the game because you only get points for winning the game, not for how many you score. And I dare say in that basketball...
Then go for the record then.
Sorry?
Then go for the record. If you've won the game and you're still on the pitch and the other team has a suit for mercy, then go for the record.
Well,
Try to get 200 points.
Well, that doesn't win you any friends and,
We're not trying to win friends. I'm trying to win a game here.
What was the point of that record? Honestly, it doesn't value anything.
Well, yes, it does. I would be very interested and can't even wait for this episode to end because I really want to find what's the worst the team has been beaten in soccer. You've put it in my mind and I'm really interested in finding out.
Okay.
And then I'll refer to it. I'll refer to those people, for the rest of my natural.
Proud moment, right? when you win a game, an important match, do you talk about the win later? I mean, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but I've won important games. You're upbeat, you're feeling good, you talk about it, and it can even be a story for years because you remember it so well. I don't want to go and tell my colleagues, oh, by the way, guys, 2-3 years ago, we lost 13-0 in a match, a soccer game. You know, because you feel bad about it. You don't want to
you wouldn't want to say
thing.
13-0 in a soccer game, but I probably would say, I remember this game, we lost 13-1, and I scored the 1.
Well, yeah, because the 1 is always a positive. I've scored it.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Indeed.
That we fight for that.
Indeed.
But I wouldn't mention it if as was in this game, it was 13-1, but halfway through the game, the other team just decided that we were useless and they took 6 men off. Ooh, thanks.
They will rest players, but it's a known thing.
No, I mean, they only played us with 6 men. We were 11 and they played us with 6 men. And
that wouldn't happen.
I'm saying there's nothing to be proud of there. I'm trying to tell you, it's the same thing. That is just an egregious example that you can understand better.
No, but the thing is, any player that wears the shirt represents the team. So you can't then say, oh, well, they took their best players off and put 3 others who weren't very good. Hang on, they're wearing the team shirt. That means they're part of the team.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, I gave you the example of playing only 11 men playing only 6. I'm giving you that example to show you what it means when the other team takes their foot off the pedal. Okay. They are not presenting a team. They're not representing their best team. They're not representing their best effort. And there's nothing to be proud of then, regardless of what you do. You haven't earned any.
That's not true.
So if an 11-man team played a 6-man team and they scored 10 points, then it's 10 goals, then they should be proud of themselves.
Who? The 10-man team or the 6-man team?
The 10-man team.
Well, they've beaten a team anyway. They've won. They got the points.
I'm asking you whether they should be proud, whether the 10-man team should be proud of themselves for scoring a goal against the 5-man team.
Well, in a soccer game, you can't have less.
You're
than
twisting
8.
You're twisting and turning. I'm going to
explain. Let's say 8. They got 8 players because that's the minimum.
Okay, 8.
Okay, but they overrun them and they score 10 goals. They've won the game. Proud? Well, we won
I'm not
the
saying
game.
that. I'm saying if the team takes 3 men off if the winning team takes 3 men off the field,
yeah,
and the other team then goes and scores a goal, should the other team feel proud?
It gets a consolation. I wouldn't say pride. They'd say, yeah, at least we scored.
Well,
you're taking a goal. Yeah,
I tell you what, if anyone else has that story, they go, yeah, but they took 3 men off so that you could score.
That way, they'd scored a goal.
I just told you, I think that way. And if we took a poll, I don't believe there's any rational human being who's not going to think the same way as I am. They're going
I'm not sure about
even everybody's got to go, well, they took 3 men off so that you could score. They actually tried their best to help you to score, which is not their job.
No, it's not their job. But that's what that stands us out humans compared to anyone else.
Sometimes but you can't be proud of it then. If you score a goal, there's nothing to be proud of.
Well, why not?
You haven't achieved anything.
Scored.
I'll tell you why not. Because you're facing an inferior team. But if that team was made inferior because of your own inferiority.
No.
Yes, because if you weren't inferior, they would have kept their men on and they'd have kept trying. But because you are that bad, they had to nobble themselves. That's what they did. They handicap them. If you're not playing your best, you are handicapping yourself because you recognize that the other team is so flipping terrible. That to me is the worst insult of all.
Well, I
wouldn't want to play. I would actually walk off. And I remember, shall I tell you something? I was playing pool back in, it doesn't matter where I was playing. I was playing pool against someone. And how far should I go in this story? He had this beautiful wife.
Okay, I don't see how the relevance here, but go on.
I was hammering this guy, okay? I was beating him badly. And the beautiful wife said to me, "Oh, you've beaten my husband so badly." And she really made me feel like, you're beating him badly in front of me, that sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be beating him this badly.
Yeah, you're stripping him of his not his manhood. You're not doing quite that, but you're making him look bad in front of his partner.
So
why would you need that if you won the game?
I took my foot off the pedal.
Yeah.
And you see, he was so bad that I got this ball that I didn't. My problem was how not to sink it because it was so sinkable, right? So I took it.
So you have got some empathy. You have got this character.
It's nothing to do with empathy. I told you she was beautiful.
That's still a motivation.
Yeah, my motivation was not honorable. It's what I'm trying to tell you, okay? So there's a dishonorable motivation.
It was. It sounded like it.
Yeah, and that's why I said, how far do I go? This story. So anyway, I played an indirect shot.
Okay.
And he just left the table, which was completely understandable because that is the point when I really disrespected him.
Yeah, but you made it too easy to spot.
So
you should have attempted.
No, what I should have done was to say, naff the fact that she was an exquisite creature, and just hammered her husband. That's all. That's all I was required to do. I don't care about. I mean, now I'm MGTOW. That's exactly what I would do today. I wouldn't even think about it twice.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. Your husband puts up on the table. He's up there. You tell him to step down. Tell him to stand down. Don't come to me.
Anyway, look, I'm mindful we're reaching the end of the show. Final thoughts. What do you still, have you changed your point of view in any way, shape, or form? Or are you still?
No, I'm just even more horrified by your position, to be honest.
No. I'm still sticking to my viewpoint because I think winning is important, but not to destroy the opposition. But unfortunately, we have now reached the end of the show for another week.